Oh, yeah. Yeah. This one I saw coming for sure. Scientists question validity of major hydroxychloroquine study. Experts demanded verification of data and methods used in a study of drugs to treat COVID-19. The study suggested the drugs might have increased deaths. Oh no, it was fake news. Who could imagine that Donald Trump was right about hydroxychloroquine? I don't know. I guess a lot of people who supported the president. Because hydroxychloroquine has been around for a really, really long time and everybody knew it to be a relatively safe drug. And a lot of doctors had come out and said so. We saw that hydroxychloroquine was being used in various countries. We saw a video from, I think, Flecka's talks, if you're familiar with Flecka's, of a doctor saying, we use it all the time. And all of a sudden, Trump says it. We get a memo saying, don't use it. What? How strange. And then these studies start popping up saying it's dangerous just for the duration of the lockdown. And now that the lockdowns are being lifted and the Democrats are praising the protesters, what's this? The study that said hydroxychloroquine was dangerous is being called into question. What's this? A top journal has retracted a study claiming masks are ineffective in preventing the spread of COVID. How amazing that everything that hurt Trump turned out to be wrong. I love it. Isn't it funny? This is the New York Times, mind you. I only use certified NewsGuard outlets, and the New York Times gets a clean record across the board. And how about this one? This is from Retraction Watch. They also have a potential, for the most part, clean record, though they don't clarify, they don't correct themselves often enough, they say, over at NewsGuard. Well, the gray lady, the paper of record, the New York Times, is now saying, maybe these are safe after all, at a time when we no longer need it, because COVID now apparently has vanished, according to one scientist in Italy. How strange was this whole phenomenon that you couldn't question any of it? YouTube would take you down, and you couldn't talk about hydroxychloroquine or recommend it, and doctors were being removed. And now these doctors were right? Yeah. The establishment has lost all credibility. It seems like something is happening and it's amazing. Is this the collapse of of America with rioting ripping through the streets? Or is there some kind of, I don't know, plague manipulating and infecting and lying and stealing? It's the establishment, baby. The media establishment was donating and propping up Democrats. They endorsed the Democrats. Trump destroyed the Republican establishment and set those roaches running towards the Democratic Party, who became never-Trumpers, and are now trying to prop up Joe Biden, the last remnant of the Democratic establishment. Dude's almost 80 years old. The New York Times endorses these people. They fund these people because they're buddies. That's the establishment at work. And they're falling apart. Let's read the story from the New York Times. More than 100 scientists and clinicians have questioned the authenticity of a massive hospital database that was the basis for an influential study published last week that concluded that treating people who have COVID-19 with chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine did not help and might have increased the risk of abnormal heart rhythms and death. In an open letter to the Lancet's editor, Richard Horton, and the paper's authors, the scientists asked the journal to provide details about the provenance of the data and called for the study to be independently validated by the World Health Organization or another institution. The spokeswoman for Dr. Mandeep R. Mehra, the Harvard professor who was the paper's lead author, said on Friday that the study's authors had asked for an independent academic review and audit of their work. Use of the malaria drug chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine to prevent and treat COVID-19 has been the focus of intense public attention. President Trump has promoted the promise of hydroxychloroquine despite the absence of gold standard evidence. Oh, gold standard. Oh, okay. That's what they say. From randomized clinical trials to prove its effectiveness. And recently said he was taking it himself in hopes of preventing coronavirus infection. Amazing. You know, at first they were saying there's no evidence. There is. It's anecdotal, but there's a lot of it. In the wake of this anecdotal evidence, a lot of people said maybe we need a better study. So my understanding is this study wasn't actually a clinical trial. They just looked at a database. They looked at a database and said, oh, look at that. More people died. Therefore, it is true. Orange man bad. The scientists' challenge to the Lancet paper comes at a time of increasing debate about the risks of the rush to publish new medical findings about COVID-19. The paper published May 22nd included data on tens of thousands of patients hospitalized through April 14th, meaning the authors analyzed a trove of data, wrote the paper, and went through the journal's peer review of its findings in just over 5 weeks, much faster than usual. Isn't that great? Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. They were wrong about everything. All of it. The lockdowns didn't work. Studies came out showing that may have actually made things worse. They were wrong about that. Mortality rate was way lower. They were wrong about that. The peak was actually much earlier. They were wrong about that. Masks. Yep, they were wrong about that. Hydroxychloroquine. They were wrong about that. What were they right about? Why did we do any of this? Why did we lock down all of our businesses and destroy and cripple our economy? And then rioters came, destroyed the remnants while the Democrats praised the protests? Why did they condemn those who wanted things to be reopened? What is really going on with these people, and what are they trying to do? You can argue that they're morons, but it really does seem like all of these things come together for a perfect storm, right? I mean, at a certain point, it's not ineptitude, it's on purpose. Can't say that, though, because we don't really know. It really is entirely possible that the Democratic establishment is the most inept political institution we have ever seen in the history of humanity. Just constantly doing everything wrong. And the media along with it, just being wrong all the time. You know what, man? I got to tell you, I think they're just mentally deficient, to say that, to put it mildly. I mean it. Think about it. Covington. Did they bother to look at evidence? No. They're just like clucking chickens wobbling about, not knowing anything. Jussie Smollett, they fell for that? Yup. Man, do I feel bad for all of these people. Worse still is that many of these people work at YouTube and censor people who try and call it out. You've got morons leading the charge, and we're all in the crowd, stuck in the single file line marching, and we know they're morons. And if you dare speak up, they call you the moron, and they want you to chant Gooble Gobble. Do you guys know the reference? I did it in the last video. One of us, Gooble Gobble. So they come out and they say that everything that Trump says is wrong. And when I point out, if Trump tends to be right, not all, let's say 6 out of 10 times, Trump's plan or statement or whatever is correct, and 4 out of 10 is a mixture of lies and bad action. If they think everything he does is wrong, that means they're right 4 out of 10 times. I mean, it's kind of a simplistic analogy. It's reductive because, just because Trump says jump doesn't mean they say duck. They could say lay down. There's a bunch of things they could counter. So it's entirely possible they're just wrong all the time. But I'll tell you what, man, I believe that not only will 2016's election go down in history with one of the biggest flubs of the Democratic Party, the 2020 election will go down in a much similar way. And the coronavirus pandemic, the riots, this will be seen as a historical blunder. But what's that? Russiagate? Oops. What's that? Ukrainegate? Ooh. Do you know about the briefly lived Chinagate, where they tried claiming that Trump was colluding with China? They did. They tried it. Politico wrote about it, had to retract the story a week later, and everything fell apart. I don't know what to trust anymore, man. I don't know. Who do you trust? Who do you trust? The New York Times right now is telling you that this is all in question. Maybe. Oh, dude, at a certain point, it's just over, isn't it? You hop in the van, you go down by the river, and you go fishing, and you just forget all about it. Because you can't trust the establishment, the politicians, the police, the protesters. Who do you trust? What do you know is being right? I'll tell you what's going to happen. People trust Donald Trump. They really do. He was right about this. Well, I don't say he was right, but his speculation wasn't necessarily wrong. Hydroxychloroquine was safe. It's been taken for a long time. We know the side effects. And the media rushed to just screech how wrong the president was. So I give you this scenario. Donald Trump isn't always correct. But Donald Trump has done some things that have worked. The economy, for instance, before the pandemic was fantastic. It's record-breaking, actually. And his supporters trust him. They say that they take him seriously, but not literally. Not everything he says is meant to be literal. They'll find excuses to some of the things he says. But in the end, you can't trust any of these Democrats. They have no idea what they're doing or fighting for. They're spinning around in circles. Every single thing they've done so far has been insane. I watched this really hilarious video. I think it's from Run, Don't Walk Productions, is it? I'm not entirely sure. Talking about Ocasio-Cortez and Michelle Caruso-Cabrera. And in it, he talks about the debate between the two. AOC's, running against this woman in the primary. It's coming up soon, actually, a couple weeks. And this Michelle Caruso-Cabrera calls out AOC for, being a do-nothing celebrity wannabe. AOC says she's gotten many different bills passed. It turns out most of the bills she got passed were renaming post offices. So who do you believe? You know what, man? I hate to say it, but at this point, begrudgingly, Trump has in my opinion, low track record of correctness, but higher than the Democrats. And the same is true for Fox News. Am I going to believe Joe Biden after this? No way. Nancy Pelosi was talking about going out during COVID. And Joe Biden was condemning Trump and the travel ban and all that. Everything they've said, every step of the way has been wrong. Don't you get tired of being wrong, man? How many people were screaming, this will literally kill you? Uh-oh. Who's that guy? Cavuto at Fox? Don't take it. It will literally kill you. Yeah, nice try, dude. You guys look like morons. I'm just going to sit back, confused the whole time. I'll leave it there. Thanks for enjoying the complete and utter collapse, the entropy that is our existence. Who knows what comes next? It's been a fun ride, hasn't it? I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out.